So I returned to one of my favorite verses. It was my background on my phone for a couple of years, honestly. And that's Proverbs 4:23. I'm going to read 3 different versions for you today because I think we're going to glean something different from each of the versions. So we're going to start with the NIV. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And then the NSRVUE, New Revised Standard Version. Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. And then lastly, we're going to do the NLT, the favorite of some people in here. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. And for me, this is my favorite verse because it's direct and explicit. Do this because of this, or this will happen. And it's very simple to remember and to apply. And God is our Father, and if you ever met a child before, you give them an instruction. The next question is, why?
Why, yeah.
Go and bail out, why?
Why?
So I like this verse because I don't have to ask why. Guard your heart, why? Because it controls everything that I do. It controls everywhere that I go. But 2 things we can get from this verse. Number 1, your heart is extremely valuable. And number 2, your only job, your first priority and responsibility is to take care of it and keep it safe. So in the Hebrew, heart comes from the word lev, which means the center of your inner life, your will and emotions. And I like to think of my heart as the home of my inner world. Beyond my emotions, it's where my thoughts and my desires and my actions live. Give me a little grace today, guys. So I use the term home deliberately because when I look back on my life, I see I see a time where I went through a very difficult period. And a lot of my thoughts were not lovely, they were not kind, they were not noble, they were not true, there were nothing that Philippians 4 told me to think about. And at the time I did not know what was wrong. I did not know that there was an intruder in my home, in my heart home. There was something that was not supposed to be there, and I never invited it in the first place.
That's right.
So Proverbs 4:23 is explicit, it tells us what to do, but it doesn't tell us what happens exactly when we don't do it. So today I want to talk about a heart unsecured.
Jesus, my God.
So if you know me, a lot of y'all know me, but if you know me, I love to read. When I come out on the Church Without Walls, I bring my Kindle with me. If you see me anywhere, take a book with me. So I'm going to start with a story. This is a personal story. I don't know if any of you know or if you've been through this before, but my family was the victim of a break-in a few years ago when I was a teen. And it was a normal day. I remember it explicitly in my brain. I was having a good time. It was a good day. My mother picked me up from school, picked me up from lessons. And we're driving up towards our house and I see 3 distinct red flags. Immediately we notice the door is open, wide. My mother, y'all know her, that's the lady that was singing this morning. She is a very careful woman. So I know that door was locked before we left. Number 2, we start going inside and there are dusty footprints on the floor. Red flag. She's very clean. She's very clean. And the third one, this is the best one. My bedroom was in more disarray.
More
than usual. I'm going to be honest because I'm here with you. But the condition of our home let us know that somebody and something was there that was not supposed to be there. Our safety had been breached. Things were out of order. And when something enters your heart, it appears in a similar way. So we're going to look back at Proverbs 4:23 again and just pick out from different versions how we can tell when our heart is unsecured. Everything you do flows from it. So you have to watch your actions. What am I doing? Do I know why I'm doing what I'm doing? Are these actions lining up with my intentions? And 2, flow the springs of life, the state and the quality of my life. What is happening around me, where I go and where I work, where I go to school, where I live. And 3rd, the course of your life. Where am I going? What direction am I going in? Is it the right one? So my question for you today is, how vigilant are you towards these changes in your behavior and in your life towards your own heart? I want to focus on the most common kind of heart burglar, if you will. And it's not even forceful. You might even invite this burglar into your home and not even notice. And that's called compromise.
Oh my God.
So today I'm going to focus on 2 meanings and we'll start with the first one. To compromise means to weaken, to damage, to undermine, to jeopardize, or endanger. And when we speak of compromise, you'll hear it in banks. I'm sure Jody does hear it at work. Your account has been compromised. Your card has been compromised. Your bank account has been compromised. Yeah. But I'm going to use it today in terms of a building structure has been compromised. And in the same way, I want to look at the structure of our heart and how that can be compromised. When we think of a home where our thoughts and emotions live, you know what gives them structure? Our values, the things we prioritize, the things we put effort and energy into, the principles that we focus on, like integrity or authenticity.
Yeah.
They are the integrity of our own heart. It holds that together. So I like to think of my values as the walls and the doors and the windows and the support beams that hold my house together, that keep the roof on top of it.
Jesus.
They inform who you are and what you care about.
Come on.
So I'm going to look at the story of, sorry, I missed out something. When you compromise your values, you make your heart vulnerable to structural damage.
Oh my
and
God.
that leaves it unsecured.
Oh.
So let's go to the story of Saul in 1 Samuel 15. So here we see God giving Saul clear instructions again, clear and explicit instructions through Samuel. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them, as they came up from Egypt. Now go attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. I hear two instructions, they're very easy to remember. Destroy all and do not spare. So you would think that he would remember that he would be able to do that easily. But when we move forward a little bit more to verse 9, we see Saul and the army spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the cattle and the fat calves and the lambs and everything that they thought was good. These they were unwilling to destroy completely. But everything else that was despised and weak, they totally destroyed. So Saul decided to spare these sheep and cattle and cows because he wanted to give God a good sacrifice. He was so proud, in fact, of this great sacrifice he made by disobeying. He set up a monument in his own honor. Can you imagine esteeming yourself by disobeying God and being excited to show other people that you disobey God? That's like Jonah, the story of Jonah. Jonah parading around saying, I was in a fish. I'm so excited I was in a fish. It's silly. So he was proud of his incomplete obedience, his halfway obedience. When we go to verse 13, we see that when Samuel reached him, Saul said, the Lord bless you. I have carried out the Lord's instructions. But then Samuel said, what then is this bleating of sheep in my ears? What is this lowing of cattle that I hear?
My God.
See, Samuel was well attuned, much like coming home, me coming home and seeing my front door wide open. Things were not as they should be.
Yes.
So Saul started negotiating with God's instructions. He valued his own understanding over God's explicit direction. That is ego.
Yes.
He valued achievement over obedience. He chose to focus on esteeming himself over following God's directions. And sometimes we can do this ourselves. You know, Shirley loves to tell the story of when I came to church or Bible study, even though I had an assignment due. But she would never know when I did not go, when I also had an assignment due. I really love my grades, and I like my grades to look nice, guys. So Samuel saw that Saul left a window open. He left his heart cracked open. He left himself vulnerable to more penetration. His heart had been compromised. Now, if this ever happens to you, the answer is very easy. We talk about it all the time. It's in Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. Here again, we see action and direction. It's simple to keep your life on track. All you have to do is listen and trust God. Lock your windows and doors with trust in God and act in accordance to his directions. So let's dig a little deeper to see why Saul left his door unlocked. If we go down to verse 24, we can read. Then Saul said to Samuel, I have sinned. I violated the Lord's command and your instructions. I was afraid of the men and I gave in to them.
Oh my God.
So not only was he valuing his ego over God's instruction, he was valuing man's validation over God's favor and
My
approval.
God.
He let the fear of exclusion going against the grain enter his heart. And so his behavior changed. Red flag number 1, y'all remember?
Yeah.
If you don't, protect your heart, right? And red flag number 2, his life was changed because of it. The direction of his life changed because of it. He fell out of favor with not only Samuel, his mentor, but God. If you read verse 35, you'll see, until the day that Samuel died, he did not go to see Saul again. Though Samuel mourned for him, and the Lord regretted that he made Saul king over Israel. So I don't know if y'all go to Bible study. I'm not the most frequent goer to Bible study online on Zoom. It's not my favorite medium. But I had the privilege of listening to Lashaina do a Bible study, and she gave y'all homework. So today I will be giving you homework, some questions I would like you to go home and meditate on. So the first assignment is to ask yourself these questions. Where in my life am I compromising my values? Where am I offering God incomplete obedience? And am I willing to accept the consequences of compromise? And that last one, there's a freebie. It's a very easy question, guys. I know the answer is no. Okay. So we're going to go to the second meaning of compromise today. Compromise is the second meaning. The dictionary defines it as a way to reach agreement in which each person or group gives up something to end an argument. At its core, it's a negotiation, a sacrifice in exchange. So it's not always bad. You know, you might go with a friend and they want to eat Chiffet and you want to eat KFC. You compromise, you eat Burger King. Nobody loses the win-win situation. The fries are delicious. And we see it in our story with Saul. Again, he sacrificed favor with God over agreement with the crowd. Compromising his values led him to follow the favor. But when we dig a little deeper into the word compromise and we break it down, we see that compromise means together we agree. So what are we agreeing to? And who are we agreeing with? When we look at Amos 3:3, we see, can two people walk together unless they agree on the direction? This verse calls us to examine who we are walking with and what we're agreeing to. So we're going to go to Solomon, who is wise, supposedly. And we see that as he grew old, his wives were able to turn him after other gods. And his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord, his God, as the heart of his father David had been. So we see the word turning the heart. Turning the heart meaning that it wasn't necessarily his decision. It wasn't his understanding. It wasn't him valuing his own justification for it. It was the people that he invited into his life. Agreeing with the wrong people over time can shift the direction of your life.
Come on.
When you walk in the wrong direction long enough, you're going to end up someplace you never intended to be. You're going to be lost.
That's it.
So this reminds me of a story. I'm going to share a story of when I had a close friend. A few Christmases ago, you all know me and my sister, we love Christmas. If you don't know, you know now. We love Christmas. And some years we think, okay, we need new decorations. Not every year. I care about the environment. Not every year. But we were like, okay, we need a new theme, we need a new color. We can't do red and burgundy. We can't do burgundy and green. Let's go all out and do a different color. So we go on SAS and we see, okay, they have these ornaments that are nice. Let's go get these. And at the time we didn't have transportation, so I asked a friend for a favor. I said, could you take me and my sister into town? Of course, no problem. Then we get into town, and y'all know town at Christmas time is a mess. It's a mess. There's nowhere to park in sight. So this friend suggests lying to a parking attendant so that we can get a free parking space. And my sister, she looks really quiet and demure, guys, but she had a visceral, knee-jerk reaction. She physically reacted to this lying in front of her and said no. I can't even describe how much she repelled the lying. Her body just could not agree with it. But what surprised me more was how little it bothered me. I was so comfortable with this friend lying to get me this spot. No, I'm not a liar, but I'm associating him with a liar. But it was clear to me in that moment that my alarm bells had been silenced. I wasn't as perceptive as I usually was. And if you've ever set an alarm on your phone, you know it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I do not want to go to the gym. And I hit snooze. And after hitting snooze a couple of times, that alarm stops going off. Are we hitting snooze today on our warning signals that God gave us?
Oh my
God pre-installed alarms inside of us so that we know right from wrong.
That's right.
And those small agreements, those exposures to the lies, compromise the security system that I already had installed. So as iron sharpens iron, compromise corrodes it. It makes us duller, less vigilant and perceptive. And it desensitized me. I let go my guard. And the door was open. I was confused about what was right and what was wrong. I was anxious. I was depressed. My actions never lined up with my intentions. I procrastinated a lot. I was complacent. And all of that because I left the door open to compromise. And I don't know if you all know about the Bible. When the Bible talks about liars, the fate for liars is very dire. So I had to get into shit immediately. There's a quote from Jim Rohn that says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with."
That's right.
And that's important because the people we surround ourselves with set the standards that we live by. They tell us what's acceptable. Whether conscious or unconscious, we measure our lives against them. So when our friends get married, we get married. When people have babies, you tend to see babies being contagious. It's just because when you're close to somebody, it starts becoming the new normal. So we can have values, but our friends and the people close to us reinforce them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not long before you start thinking and acting and behaving with the people you invite into your heart home.
That's right.
I know that we talk about this a lot. I immigrated to Canada a few years ago when I was 18. And when I came back after 3 months, I was talking in the weirdest accent known to man. And that's because I was surrounded by people talking like that. That same way, the same way we surround ourselves, people behaving badly, we will change the bad behavior. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15:33, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character.
That's
So
right.
we're going to get a second set of homework, guys. Please write this down. The second assignment says, sorry, my sisters helped me today. Can you put it on the second assignment? Who am I spending the most time with? Where are they going, and do I want to go there? See, it's important for us to check our heart posture, check our security systems, check the locks and check the doors, and make sure that everything is closed to all the things we do not want to invite inside.
And the holes.
When you holes, yes, and patch all the holes in the walls. When you associate with people of poor character, that is the same as walking in town, knowing that somebody's a thief and giving them the pin to your account. It's silly. It's silly. You can't expect them to behave well, but God expects better of us. So today we focused on a few ways to notice if your heart has some unwelcome visitors, and you might want to know what to do next. So I'm going to give you some very, very easy things to remember. Call the authorities, and the great authority on hearts is God.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, clean up the mess and put your house back in order.
Come on.
2 very simple instructions. Do not be like Saul. I was very explicit this morning. So now, as we reflect on our heart conditions, I'd like to close with a prayer that I prepared. So if you want to close your eyes, I'm going to say a prayer for all of us today. God, I pray that you create in myself and everyone in the hearing of my voice a clean heart. Renew a right spirit within us. Give us discernment to choose the right people to agree with and order our steps. Let us delight in your direction. Thank you for protecting us and guiding us and giving us the tools to guard our own hearts and preventing the enemy from compromising the structural integrity of our hearts. Amen.
Amen.